Airgun Geeks family, we've got some exciting news to share with you today. We're thrilled to announce our new partnership with some of the biggest names in the outdoor world. Airgun Depot, Cabela's, and Bass Pro Shops. This partnership means that when you use our special links to shop at these stores, it won't cost you a penny more, but it directly supports the Airgun Geeks podcast. We're really proud to be working with these outdoor giants, and it's all about helping us bring you the best coverage of the airgun world. So next time you're gearing up for your next outdoor adventure, remember to use our links. You'll be supporting us and helping keep the content you love coming. Patrick!
Well, howdy, Bill. How are you?
I'm doing well. A merriest of Christmases to you, sir. We've got our Yuletide vibe going here. And of course, no holiday decorations would be complete without a Ballistall logo, because it's got all of the appropriate festive colors for taking care of your air guns and fine firearms and leather goods and all of that stuff. So, yeah, I threw that into the holiday decorations because I can, because that's what they pay me to do.
Well, it's the proper colors. I do agree.
Or they don't pay me to do it, or whatever, however you want to look at it.
Well, we did do a giveaway with them, so that was good.
Yeah.
So how are things in California?
I'll tell you what, a little chilly and wet today, but I had all of this stuff that I was supposed to set up and film today, and then out of nowhere comes this order from a fellow in Oklahoma, and he wanted so much steel target stuff. This guy just bought at least almost $500 worth of the heavy duty Devil's Eyes.
Oh, wow.
And then he bought those for his club. He's got a rifle club that also shoots field target now on their 3D archery lanes. So that I thought was really cool. So the club is repurposing their 3D archery range to also support field target.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of my targets, the spinners, stay up all the time. So people can go out and practice on the lanes with approximate target size to match what their field targets are. So I thought, wow, this is really cool. But they've been expanding and buying a lot of my stuff to do that, and I was very thankful. But this guy bought a bunch of my stuff for himself this time. It was like his Christmas present to him, and I was literally all morning out in my shop welding targets together for this guy. So that was a pretty good way to spend the day today. It's a rainy day anyway, so I couldn't really film outside, but having that opportunity to get the old MIG gun back in my hand and stick some metal together was pretty cool. And yeah, so big thank you to the Oklahoma gun club that is using my stuff. I couldn't be more honored. I mean, this guy was really jazzed. He wrote some really nice stuff to me in a note that he sent after the order. I was like, wow, I can't believe that. I mean, I don't ever remember anybody ordering this much stuff, to a single customer, but I'm very thankful. So lots to be thankful for going into this holiday season.
Mm-hmm.
How's things going with you, Pat? What's going on down there in Florida? I see you've got some creatures sneaking up on your back there.
Well, they're frozen right now because for the past couple of weeks, we had that big cold front that came through the country, swept down here. These mornings, I mean, for a northerner and for sleeping, it's phenomenal. But true Florida people, Floridians down here, waking up at 40 degrees, these guys, they don't like that. They just sort of fall out of the tree. So the weathermen are like, watch out for falling iguana temperatures coming up this weekend at 11. And
so Pat leaves his air gun in the truck and takes the broom and the dustpan out there and just sweeps up the iguanas this time of year.
Yeah, just get a stick and pop them out of the tree. But yeah, so that's going on. But I'm not going to complain. There's no snow. Weather's been great. Family's doing well. excited for Christmas, the new year, because, January 1st is everyone. I want to say thank you for celebrating my birthday. That's why there's the fireworks all over the world. The world celebrates as it goes around, and I thank you. So the big 4-6 is coming up. So I'm excited. Things are going well. But iguana shooting is fun. I think we're going to get into shooting some pigs and trying some thermals and night vision stuff coming up now that I got an opportunity with some other hunters down here.
Very nice.
And then we got to get you back down here to
Yeah.
get some shoots and whatnot.
I hear we've got a little throwdown that's going to happen in February. That's pretty exciting.
Correct.
I'm on board for that. I've only shot extreme field target once, but I am intrigued, and I'm going to promise that I will put a lot more time and effort into setting up the Mark I crown for that, if that's what I decide to bring. But yeah, I don't want to repeat my last showing and not, total fairness, you and I anticipated having a day or two of schedule to use to go get the dope on that gun at 100 yards. And that evaporated for a number of reasons, not the least of which was the airlines not being kind to me. But yeah, we ended up getting scheduled out of that practice and tuning option. So I need to make sure I have that done before I put it in the bag.
Correct. Yeah. So the competition that Bill's talking about, everyone, it's an extreme field target down here in Clewiston, Florida, if I'm saying that right. You can go to the airgungeeks.com webpage. Palm Beach Airguns is sponsoring the event, along being hosted by Team Headshots.
And that's Joel and his lovely partner over there at Palm Beach, right?
Correct. Along with myself. I'm one of the sales. I'm the sales guy there, helping Joel out and everyone. But I heard this event is going to be a blast, because I guess last time they did it, they had tons of fun. There was a tiki hut and bar there. You could bring your campers. It's all sorts of stuff. They're going to do extreme field target, and they're going to do, I'm going to call it geriatric PRS. So it says that the old timers will be able to safely.
It's PRS that features walkers and wheelchairs.
You got it.
What's going on there?
Yeah. So all the boomers out there, I mean, the older generation shooters, will be able to safely and accurately shoot PRS, and it's for fun. There's going to be it's going to be catered. So I heard the food is going to be off the hook.
Wow.
So that's a big thing. It's going to happen February 22nd. So just pay attention for more details and whatnot. But you can always email us here over at the Airgun Geeks podcast, help you along. But pay attention to the website. Don't be afraid to give a call to Palm Beach Airguns. We're working out some final details, so I wouldn't give them a holler till the new year. But yeah, it's going to be a ton of fun. It's going to be, I hear it's a blast. And it's like fantastic. A 3-day weekend. So
yeah, very nice.
We'll have some fun there. And there'll be a big raffle prizes. I want to emphasize big raffles. Airgun Geeks got something to announce on that one. So we'll find out how much it costs and all that coming up here soon. And we'll go from there.
Very good.
So, all right. Well, we have someone hiding in the green room. No pun intended. And we need to bring him out, because I know this conversation is going to take up the rest of the podcast. Or as Paul Harvey would say, get ready for the rest of the story. Yep. So we're going to bring in our good friend, Luke Sowinski, the youngest engineer at Skout Airguns. Is that correct, Luke?
Yes, that is correct. How are you guys doing today?
Doing well. Yourself?
Good.
We always like to start off on the podcast. Let's just start out with, who is Luke? Let's just start there, and then we'll go from there. So who are you, Luke?
So my name's Luke Sowinski, and I'm the Director of Research and Development for Skout Airguns. So day to day, we're always, testing and trying new things, prototyping parts, designing new parts, ensuring whatever we're doing is always an improvement day to day. And, our whole team is always striving to do that. Before Skout, I mainly went to school. I'm only 24, so not a lot of history before that, but I went to machining school in high school. And then after high school, I went to become a mechanical engineer at the University of Pittsburgh. And I was fortunate enough to start working for Skout during my schooling. So I kind of worked there part-time. And then right after I graduated, I got hired full-time. And, I tell everybody I get to shoot guns at work, and it's really not work. It's more like fun. They take me to the events, and we get to do shooting all the time, so I can't complain. I really enjoy what I do, and just looking forward to continuing to do that and talking to you guys today about all the fun stuff that goes on.
That's fantastic. So, Luke, I've got to ask you, one engineer to another, how much do you actually look at fluid dynamics in your valve and air path layout on your guns? I mean, have you been there from the beginning of the very first Skout Airguns? What is
Yes. Yeah, so that's a big part of making sure that we get the efficiency, the power, and everything that we want. So that the flow path, from say valve to breech, is extremely important to us. And we looked at that a lot on our initial design. I can't even tell you, probably 20 plus iterations of valve combinations and everything to get to where we wanted to be at with efficiency, velocity, and tunability. So that does go into our processes a lot, and it actually was very helpful because during this process I was still in school, and I was actually taking a fluid dynamics class at one of the most crucial times when we were trying to finalize things. So I was able to talk to a lot of people about it at school and get some ideas from them, and we did incorporate some stuff that I learned along the way to be able to get where we needed to be at.
Isn't it wild how Bernoulli was the father of almost all of that science? And it was done at a time when it was all just mental imagination for him. It wasn't anything he could have seen or really envisioned. It's mind-bending to me.
It really is. And a lot of mechanical, theories and everything were developed at a time where, computers weren't around, and they were just doing things on paper and, theorizing it. And they didn't have this, but it's crazy how much of it was developed then, and it still holds true even with the new technology.
Yeah, I agree. So, Luke, you've been with Skout the whole time, so you've watched these two guns kind of develop next to each other. What are the nuances between the Epic and the Evo?
So to answer that in a way, I guess the Epic was first. So that was our first baby, and we released the Epic. Had some growing pains at the beginning, as a new airgun company. We've made a lot of improvements to the platform, and the Evo was kind of what we like to call the evolution of the Epic. So we went and utilized a lot of customer feedback from everybody that has been, an owner of an Epic or came to our shop. And we used a lot of that to create the Evo. So, I have one here. This is the Evo right here. And
I love that color, by the way. That orange. That orange.
I love it too. So there's a couple things right off the bat on this one. So, one thing we got was, hey, right out of the box, which just so everyone knows, this is a standard Evo. So it has the skeletonized buttstock, doesn't have the Arca rail. And one of the big things was, hey, we want to put this on a tripod without, spending money for an extra piece. Mm-hmm. So I put an Arca rail right on the bottom, and it's conveniently right in the balance point of the gun too.
Mhm.
So you can put this right on a tripod, and we even have little mini tripods that we sell that we shoot off of all the time when we're just plinking at stuff, because the balance point's right there and it's so nice. Another thing was, hey, it's hard to see the screen. The Epic screen was, in the back here, so you kind of had to look in at an angle. Now this screen is on the right in the front there, so you can see it. It's talking now, but
Wow.
you can see the screen is now on the side of the gun, and it's a lot
Very
easier
nice.
to see. So did things like that. The butt, before you had to take the whole gun apart, like the grip frame. Oh, lost my Christmas tree. But before, you had to take the whole gun apart to charge the battery. Now there's a USB-C port, right under this back strap. So you don't have to take anything apart now to charge it, which, the next question I'm sure will be, well, how many shots do you get on a charge? We get a lot of shots on a charge. I mean, it's well over 1,000 rounds. It can be more if it's in one sitting, but my recommendation to everybody is, it's a USB-C charger. Plug it in the night before you want to go out. But they can sit for months and have charge. I usually forget to charge mine. I actually had a problem at RMAC where I went through the Northeast Airguns Challenge, the Oregon Extreme Ventress Challenge, and I was in the middle of PRS at RMAC and my battery died. And I was like, well, I probably should have charged it between those different events and, over 3 months, but it's hard to remember when it lasts as long as it does sometimes. But, not only that, our barrel technology has changed a bit. So we added an indexing barrel. So this locking ring, to take the barrel out, it's this front ring here. And all you do is loosen this up. Usually you have to use a 3/16 Allen key, but I just have it loose on this one. And then back in the back, you have this little ratcheting lock. And both of those is all you need to pull the whole barrel.
Oh, wow.
So
Very nice.
we added a spinning indexing feature on these barrels, so you can actually index it and then just lock it back in place without having to, mess with the liner or anything on the inside. And we now, on all the Evos, they're coming standard with a bull barrel, which is, we call it a hybrid bowl. So it's a solid carbon fiber around our barrel. So, you go from this to about a 1/2 inch diameter tube on the inside, or, barrel. And it's super rigid, no point of impact shifts. The harmonics are dampened. So we did that because we didn't really want a 1-inch steel barrel on people that want to carry it around, but we do offer bull barrels as well. And that's what I use on my bench rest gun. It's a solid steel barrel, and it adds extra weight to the gun, keeps it from kicking. But, we're trying to cater to different applications with the same platform. So we have a lot of options.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Now, Luke, what's involved with the caliber change on those guns? I mean, I saw how the barrel comes out, but what about the probe and the things you need to worry about with a caliber change?
Yeah, so the main thing is the barrel. We have a tube inside of our moderator as well that gets swapped out for a caliber change. And then the probe is, it just screws right in. It's 1/8 inch Allen key that you put through the back of the buttstock and just loosen it. So you can be switched from one caliber to the other within, maybe 5 minutes or so once you get the hang of it. And, tuning wise, it's mainly our high pressure regulator for adjustment. So if you want to go from 22 caliber to 30 caliber, you're really mainly focusing on your high pressure regulator. You want to keep your low pressure regulator in a range between 170 and 200 PSI, but typically you don't have to touch that if you're going from, one caliber to the other too much, but it's also very simple to adjust.
So hypothetically speaking, big grin here. It is Christmas time. But if a guy was to want to take an Evo, get it set up for regular field target, and shoot that up and down, let's say the west coast of America, And then his friend invited him to an extreme bench rest event in Florida, and he wanted to step up that caliber a little bit for extreme bench rest to get that extra 50 yards of performance downrange. What would that take, both cost wise and time wise, getting that gun? If you already knew what velocity you needed to get to, how would you walk through that to change that gun?
If you're, say, shooting a 22, you'd have to get the 30 caliber barrel kit, which I believe is roughly around $300. Don't quote me on that. Daryl will come after me, our sales guy. But it's around $300 for the swap. And once you get all those components, you have a magazine, a probe, a port tube, and then the barrel assembly. And you would switch these parts over. And in this case, if you're using our standard short barrels, you would actually, with 30, you drop your velocity, your high pressure regulator a little bit, depending on where you're at, which the high pressure regulator can be adjusted up or down under pressure. It self vents so that you don't have to, degas your rifle or anything. If you're worried about damaging it like some other rifles are, you don't have to do that. Just turn it counterclockwise on the bottom, and you'd want to be probably around, somewhere between 14 and 1500 psi for the correct velocity. We usually shoot about 900 feet per second. Some projectiles like it a little hotter with 30 caliber, other ones a little lower. But we're right now offering, we have our ECR barrels. So it's a new type of rifling that we've been testing and working on. Robert Steele actually was just down at Ken Hicks in Florida and was able to take home the win with that new barrel that he's been helping us develop and testing for us. So that was really good to hear. We also have sub MOA 30 caliber barrels. That's what I have on my bench rest gun currently. It's a really consistent barrel. Was able to place in the top 10 of all the big events this year, except for EBR. So really happy with the performance of that barrel as well. And we got some more exciting options in the future here. We're always looking to be on the top of the podium. So we're experimenting with a lot of different barrel options. So I'm sure you'll see some other new ones soon down the road in 30 cal. But, 22, we have Lothar Walther 22. We did a custom barrel with them, and it shoots pellets and slugs exceptionally well without having to switch barrels, which we were pleasantly surprised that it did that. It's really, really nice.
Always a big plus when you can get the right spin rate to support both of those. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's like one of our favorite barrels, even just shooting guns in with, because it's so pleasing to just, you put it in, and when we're shooting guns and we're shooting at 100 yards, so we test everything and make sure it's shooting sub MOA at 100 yards, the standard deviation and spreader in par. We do a 24-hour leak test at the factory as well. But, that the Lothar Walther's a killer barrel in 22. We just love it. We've had some good results too. Our guy, Tim Swan, he out in Ohio, he's our N50 guy, and he loves shooting N50, and he's been doing really good out there with it. So
nice. Now, before we get into your kind of review of the 2024 shooting season, I do have a question for you, because I kind of reported on this a little bit. I noticed that both RMAC and the PA Cup, that there seems to be an emerging movement in the 30 cal projectile arena, where a lot of guys are finding success with actually really heavy 30 cal pellets going at really high speeds for it's kind of counterintuitive where they found a sweet spot. What are you guys seeing with your guns? Are you guys running that 50 plus grain pellet at higher rates?
So this season we ran 45 grains the whole year. Just we tested the 50s. we're trying to, we really wanted the 50s to be the winner, because you think, you have some heavier grain weight. It's not going to move as much in the wind, but, as much as we found this year, we were finding better success with our current setups with the 45 grains. Now, Robert Steele with our new barrel was shooting the new 50 grainers, the AEA 50 grains, and he was having really good luck with them. So, I think as time goes on into next year, we're definitely going to be shooting some heavier grains. And now AEA has, I think it's a 66 grain pellet as well. So, who knows what's next with these pellets. I mean, it's crazy to think about, 21 more grains than your standard JSB 44 that everybody and their mother was shooting last year.
So is that the manufacturer you're using, is the JSB 4475s?
No, so I'm shooting the AEAs now. That the first, 2023 season we shot like all JSB, and then we switched to the AEAs this year, the 45s, and we've tried the 50s, but the 50s we just haven't had as much success out of the other barrels. Like I said, the new ones have been shooting those 50 grainers pretty well.
Okay, so it seems to like the harder pellet.
Yeah, so we noticed you have to clean more. And, when you're shooting JSBs, the barrel kind of leads in and then stays there for a good amount of time.
Yeah,
I
found that too.
We have a cleaning regimen that we kind of follow now to keep the barrel from getting, I've seen it where it gets overleaded and you start to get some flyers and stuff.
That's good to know. Okay. Yeah. And one thing I'll also add is I was there at the Robert Steele shoot over with Ken at Small Weapons, and he finished in a complete downpour. A complete Florida rainstorm. I mean, you couldn't barely, where we were standing, you could barely see him, and there's a guy holding an umbrella. So look for that on the forums. And he just kept shooting. So
well, he probably thought the rain's coming straight down. I've got no wind. Go ahead and shoot.
There you go. And it was just amazing. And I want to say that because that's an element that's hard to get in the middle of a competition. And he's a great shooter, but the gun performed. It didn't short out. He didn't have issues cocking. He didn't have issues loading. And it just kept firing. And he kept his routine going. And his scorecard is phenomenal on that. I was just like, what do you got in that thing? Is there a little angel carrying it to the end? I mean, what are you doing? Because everyone was like, is he still shooting? And then the score he got, absolutely amazing. I just want to say that we were all in awe, and the credit to go in with that new ECR, that's a cool thing. That is fascinating.
Hello, fans. We're taking a brief moment to recognize and show our appreciation for the incredible support of our sponsors. Their commitment not only fuels our content, but also ensures we can bring you the very best of the airgun world. Firstly, a huge shout out to Southern Precision Air Weapons. Ken is a master of hard-hitting airgun tunes that deliver unrivaled accuracy. Moving on, we extend our gratitude to High Pressure Pneumatics. Be sure to check out what Tom has going on at his store in Michigan and online as well. Let's not forget the remarkable contribution of DonnyFL. Their innovations in suppressors have revolutionized the experience in the field, combining stealth with performance. A special thanks to GX Compressors as well for their robust and efficient compressors that are an absolute game changer in the pneumatic technology and convenience. Be sure to check out Skout Airguns for the Epic and the all-new Evo. JSB and Predator International for the finest in airgun projectiles. Affordable, well-made, and fun airgun products from Umarex Airguns. And lastly, we express our sincere appreciation for Saber Tactical. Their tactical gear is not only about strength and durability, it's about taking your airgun experience to the next level. We proudly stand alongside these titans of the airgun industry and invite you, our valued listeners, to explore their outstanding offerings. Supporting our sponsors is directly supporting the Airgun Geeks, enabling us to continue delivering you the content you love and trust. Thank you for being the most essential part of our journey. Your engagement and support make all of this possible. Until next time, stay tuned and keep supporting those who make the Airgun Geeks a reality. Now,
yeah, we were really happy. And Robert, he likes to, when the conditions are tough, it seems like he performs better. I mean, everywhere we went with him this year, it's like when it's crappy and everyone else is complaining, he takes advantage of that, and he's just like, all right, we're locked in here. We're gonna do good. So, he's a great guy, great shooter, and we're just thrilled. I mean, we've built a pretty good team, which we can get into as we talk more about 2024. But we have a group of shooters that are on our pro team, and there's a lot of guys helping us. Even they even go out of their way if someone needs help with something, they're talking to them. Hey, I'll help you with this problem to make sure you're happy with your gun. So, we're very thankful for all the guys that we've brought on.
Fantastic. Yeah. Now, Luke, I know you and I had a conversation about this in an earlier meeting. And if you can't talk about it, that's okay. But I know you've been experimenting with a new technology for cutting rifling. And I guess that process is pretty well developed by the company that you're enlisting to do this with. But if you could just kind of encapsulate that a little bit for our viewers, because I think a lot of us are like me. We grew up with, button rifling or rifled tooling getting pulled through the bore, which is the way the old German gunsmiths were doing it in Pennsylvania in the late 1700s. So kind of take us on this, a quick look at what that new rifling cutting technology is.
Yes, so it's called ECR rifling, so it's electrochemical rifling. So basically, the barrel is just a blank barrel with no rifling on the inside, and this tool goes through with a fluid being pushed around the tool, and it's a charged fluid, and it actually pulls the material away to cut the rifling in the barrel. So there's no contact with the tool. It's all the fluid actually doing the work to put the rifling into the barrel. And what that lets us do is it's extremely consistent. It's, you can control your depth of the rifling easily. The tools don't wear out. And the surface finish is basically whatever surface finish you create on the, in the tube beforehand or the barrel beforehand. So that helps us as long as you can get a good surface finish beforehand, you get really good rifling and consistent rifling. So you're not concerned about, hey, my tool broke, I have to wait 8 weeks for another tool, or hey, I didn't, this combination didn't work. It still takes some time to develop tooling. It took us, a year almost. We met these guys at SHOT Show last year. So it has taken us a long time to get the development complete, but we also did a lot of iterations and things to perfect the rifling before we wanted to bring it to market. So it's a new process, but we've struggled on that side of things with barrels to get, we're always looking for perfection. And, Bill, our owner, is the number one person I can say that about, because that man is shooting his air gun 7 days a week and calling me and saying, hey, we got to do this, we got to do that. And, we're all in this to do that. So, it can't, if it's not perfect, it doesn't leave. Bill and Keith, our head of assembly, they both are in that range shooting every single gun in, and they're very particular. And I hear about it because, hey, Luke, this isn't good enough, but that's part of the game, which it drives us all to be better with that. So we're really happy with this new process. And I think even as time goes on further, we're going to continue to have an even improved version of what we're doing in all calibers. So, 30, we're very close, and we're going to be working on the other calibers next.
So this is an electrochemical process.
Yes.
So you've got this tool, which I assume is the anode, going down the center of the bore.
Yes.
And then you're moving a fluid through there that I assume carries the electrical charge. So you're leaching material.
That's the electrical charge, but I think it's a cathode that is going through the bore.
Okay.
From what we've been told with our guy that's doing it, but
so you're moving material from the barrel into the fluid, and then I assume it's going then to the cathode.
So no, it's more like, from what they described, it's like flushed out with the fluid. So the material is actually just getting flushed out.
Got it.
Yeah.
So I just, for my own morbid curiosity, what do they have to recycle that fluid? How do they get the metal out? Do they recycle it, or is it
I'm
just
not sure about that part. I know they do recycle it because it's in like a big tank in the machine, but I'm not sure. I'm sure it probably has to be filtered.
Yeah.
But yeah, they haven't given us that much detail.
Well, we get geeky here on the Airgun Geeks podcast, so
yeah, right. I mean, I didn't get my title accidentally. Well, Luke, why don't you, now that we've uncovered a lot of the really cool, and we haven't even really talked about what makes your valving so special on the Skout Airguns, and I think maybe we should visit that before we get into the wrap up of the 2023 shooting season. What is it that separates your valve system apart from other air guns?
So our air gun is hammerless. So we're not using any sort of hammer to open or close the valve. It's all pneumatically.
So there's no inertia going on.
Correct. Yes. So the only inertia really is the valve stroke, which is only about 90 thousandths of an inch. So it's very small. The magic is utilizing, a low pressure air source to be able to open the valve, pop it open. And, after that, it's a mechanically timed system, and there's air from the actual breech that gets cycled to close the valve. So it's all timed, and we have it tuned in a way that, as you change your high pressure regulator settings, you're actually getting a little bit of a different dwell time, which is helpful for us because you eliminate a lot of the headache of switching calibers and changing projectiles. And we have an electronic dwell control, which is controlling our amount of low pressure air, the time that low pressure air is actually seeing the valve to keep it open. And those are where the main control points are. But from the factory, your main settings are pretty darn close to where you want to be at. Now, we have a nice YouTube video Bill actually did on how to tune the gun. So it's pretty simple, but it gives you a good idea of, hey, where do I begin when I pull this gun out of the case to make sure I'm ready to go. But this whole process of the way the valve works helps us be able to be versatile by switching from 177 to 35 and being able to do it relatively quickly without having to painstakingly tune for 30 minutes to get the gun stacking pellets.
So you're not fighting that balance between the regulator pressure and the inertia. You've got other parameters that sounds like they're self-balancing. So you have a limited amount of variability on the input to that solution. Is that correct?
Yes. And as you would change your regulator pressure, which is our main point of velocity adjustment, you're able to control a lot of the variables because they're just working by themselves without having to, change it manually, I guess. So the variables that you might have to fight with typically are being done for you.
So it's intrinsically balanced, and all you're doing is really raising and lowering the energy level.
Correct. Yes.
That is really cool. And, for a lot of guys that have gotten caught in that swirl of death that feels like a toilet bowl when you're trying to tune a gun and and you don't listen to the experts, and you twist one knob too much, and now your balance is so far off, you don't know where you are anymore, and getting back to square one can really be a challenge if you didn't pay attention to what you were doing. It sounds like this is a much more simplified tuning operation, and it would keep people on the reservation a lot more easily, if I understand it correctly.
Yes, that's a good way to describe it. For the end user, once you get used to the way you have to tune the Skout platform, it's definitely a lot more convenient for them to be able to just, tune things on the fly and not have to worry, hey, if I want to shoot these heavier pellets today, am I going to lose this tune with the lighter pellets that I love and not be able to get back to it?
So before we leave and go to the 2023 season, your regulator, your high pressure regulator adjustment, is that adjustable in both directions under pressure, or is it like many others that you have to air it down to reduce it, but you can go up?
So it's adjustable both ways. So you can adjust it the whole way up and the whole way down without having to degas.
Wow.
So it self vents. So the regulator, when you start to lower the pressure, it will actually vent itself off after about usually a half turn to a full turn. It'll start to vent by itself, and then you can take a couple shots, let it settle. And the low pressure regulator, it doesn't self vent, but at the pressures it's operating at, you're able to adjust it incrementally. And, as long as you're not turning it 3 turns in without taking a shot, you'll be fine. But you can adjust it and you can adjust in like a standard regulator to increase the pressure, but to decrease, you'll have to shoot it to get it to balance back out. But it won't hurt anything adjusting it under pressure.
Wow. So I the way I'm understanding this, really my end metric that I'm looking for in a tune is pretty much just simply the velocity that I know works well with my system. So I'm gonna be shooting 177 out to 55 yards most of the year, and then Pat called me. I got to go do extreme bench rest or extreme field target. And I switch over to a 30 cal barrel, and I change that pressure to get the velocity where I want it, and I'm pretty much ready to go. Is that about right?
Yeah, as long as your low pressure rig, you might have to tweak it just to get it in the correct range. We recommend between 170 and 200 psi on the low pressure regulator. And you can go into your dwell settings, and we usually go up in increments of 2 until the group tightens. But for the majority of shooting, you're going to be very close, switching back and forth. You won't have you're not going to change it from a 2-inch group to half an inch by changing your dwell setting. A lot of it's done with, as long as your low pressure is in that range, and then you adjust your high pressure to the correct velocity, you're pretty much good to go.
Wow, that sounds like a pretty simplistic way to do really big cal changes with the same platform. That's really cool.
Agree. Yeah, and it seems like all you need is a chronograph. I don't need a programmer. I don't need any of the other stuff. And it's just bing, bang, boom. I could turn knobs. I like turning knobs. That's what's always held me back from the electronic guns is this number. You got to get this number here. You got to do all this. And it's like, but this is just turning some knobs, and we get it where we got to go.
Yep. Turning some knobs. And like I said, the dwell setting is internal on the screen, but it's very easy to get through there too. Another big question we have a lot is, does the voice turn off? Yes. There's a volume setting. It's very easy to turn off. All of our rifles come in what we call limit mode. So you have to hit the safety button every time before you pull the trigger, so that we, make sure that new users are getting accustomed to the light trigger. I mean, there's no sear or anything on our trigger, so it's just a micro switch behind it. So there is a magnet adjustment to get a more snappy pull, so it's not as light, but it is a different beast to feel. We also have a release trigger option now. So you actually pull the trigger in and then release it to shoot, which is, kind of, they do this in like trap shooting and stuff. A guy from Ohio recommended us trying this, and we were able to program it in. So that's actually an option now. It's release mode on our board, and it, a lot of our guys love it. I'm so used to pulling, I don't like it, but a lot of guys love that for bench rest shooting because it does take that pull away. You're just releasing, and when you release, it just goes off, so you can't pull shots as easy.
Very nice. So if a guy like Pat wanted a really sultry female voice from his Evo, how much would that cost him to get that that custom voice on his gun?
So I can't remember. I know the Epic has a female voice. I think the Evo is a male voice, but I think you can toggle between male and female on both of them. So, it might not be quite as, exciting as you might want the voice to be, but, I'm sure the iguanas, maybe you can get like an iguana mating call or something on your voice pack.
So Luke, you're way too young to remember this, I'm sure. But back in the early days of the internet, when it was AOL, right? America Online.
I know where you're going.
You could get these alternate voices for your messages in the application. So, it used to say you've got mail, and then you would be able to download these, like, you could just imagine this lady was probably a stripper in a younger life in Las Vegas, and she would go, "You've got mail," and it would be so over the top. And it was the big thing to do if you were an Uber nerd. You would get the alternate voices for your America Online email messages.
You know what I'm thinking about? I go to turn it on and I hear the dial tone. The
oh yeah. That was the modem. That was the acoustically coupled modem. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry. Sorry to digress here, but I thought that would be a cool option to have on your Evo. Would be the sultry female voice. Or male. I mean, hey, who am I to judge? I mean,
I like a personal thing, like hello, my
whatever you're into.
Something like that. Just to be
on our one paintball gun, you could get a lot of different voice packs. Like right when it came out, that's what everyone wanted. So they had like a ridiculous amount of different voices that were on it. And we can develop a lot of voices like that, where with AI especially now, it's like super easy to create.
You could spoof anybody. You could do Arnold Schwarzenegger. You could do Joe Pesci. You could do all of those voices. That would be so funny.
Yeah. So we haven't dove into it quite yet, but I'm sure we'll be releasing some different voice packs in the future.
That'd be cool.
That's awesome. That would be such a cool way. I mean, I know you guys are doing a lot with color, and that looks really great. But also having that other level of customization is pretty cool too. I mean, I was really impressed with your Arca rail. It looks like you can also clamp that whole block very easily in a pure clamp style tripod mount just as easily. It looks really solid in that axis as well.
Yeah, it's a nice spot there for a lot of different mounting options, and even shooting offhand and stuff, we kind of have that nice shape that you can wrap your fingers around, and it just has a nice feel to it.
Right. So when Skout first announced they were coming into the airgun world, everybody was kind of looking like waiting for you guys to come out of the gate and start dominating, and you went through some growing pains in your early competitive years, but you're starting to hit your stride now. You're really in the 2023 season. You had some pretty notable finishes across the spectrum where you really ratcheted it up. I mean, you were in some cases taking the #1 podium, and in other places you were in attack mode. You were right there. So take us through the 2023 season at some of the highlights of the Skout Airguns.
We're in 2024.
Yeah, that's right. You're right.
It's okay. It's all good.
Yeah, so 2024 we started out down at Ken Hicks in Florida. They had a slug event at 100 yards. So Bill, the owner, myself, and then Robert Steele, we all went down, and we shot. I got fifth, and then Robert Steele got fourth. So that was a good event for us to kick the year off. Which I guess a little bit of a backstory before we dive completely in. A lot of Skout shooters are guys that either are from the factory or from the beginning, like guys that have been with us. So Robert, we actually picked up that September of 2023 after the Pyramid Air Cup. And, we got him, really happy with the Skout platform and taught him all about it. But, I'm not a competitive shooter by any means before I've started to shoot air guns. The first competition I ever went to was in 2023 in May. I went to one in Ohio. There's a really cool club, Fairfield Sportsman's Club in Ohio. They do bench rest competitions every month through the spring and summer and fall months. So that was the first one I went to. And then I competed at Pyramid Air Cup that year. And then EBR, which I got 10th at EBR that year. And then going forward to 2024, we had the first big event, which was Northeast Airguns Classic. And I think it was 9th place there. Made the finals, got 9th place. I think I was the only one on the team for that event that made the finals. Then skipped to RMAC. Went to RMAC. Keith Short, our assembly manager, he got in the finals. I got in the finals. I got 8th at RMAC. And then Pyramid Cup went to, and we had a lot of guys, local guys. Everyone could make it to the Pyramid Cup event. So we had Robert Steele, Bill, Joe Polanco, and Keith Short was in the finals too, and then I was in the finals. I think there might be one more I'm missing, so I apologize, whoever it is. But I got 5th at that one, and the wins were crazy at Pyramid Cup, and the wins were also crazy at RMAC. RMAC wins are always crazy, but so I was really happy with 5th place. I didn't know where I was going to fall. I mean, this year everybody has ramped up their competition. I mean, it's just insane. You're splitting hairs with a lot of people. I mean, I think I had a 231 at Pyramid Cup, and there was a ton of people right around that score. So, a couple points, you're moving a ton of positions. And then EBR this year, it was crazy. I mean, EBR, the winds were pretty calm there for the most part. Finals, we had some switchy wins, but it was tough. I mean, I ended up, I think, in 14th or 15th place. Could be wrong, but it wasn't top 10. I was disappointed because I was trying to make it the whole year with being in the top 10 at all the big events. But there's some tough competition out in Arizona. I mean, everybody, the 75-yard stuff, you're seeing 240s left and right from everybody. So it was a great year for air gunning, and I think a huge advancement from the previous years. I mean, you saw even in 2023, Thane, he was just ripping it up. And I think that really pushed everybody to step up their game because, you're talking the days of, average your low 220s or above and you're in the finals to now it's like you better be, pushing, close to 230s to make it into the finals through, 2 rounds. People are just getting better, and it's insane what we're doing at 100 yards. You gotta be staying in the 9 and 10 ring pretty much, or else you're not in the winner's circle. So, but we had a really good year. Mike Bricker and Robert Steele and Bill, they all won in the Oregon event. It's a not the biggest event, but I really recommend if anybody wants to go to another airgun event next year, Airgun Oregon, they have a very nice facility and they have a lot to do. They have a 100-yard slug, 100-yard pellet bench, and then they do a long range competition and field target up there. And it was a blast. I mean, everybody had a really good time out there. We're really excited for this upcoming year with them, as well as all the competitions. I mean, the airgun community, they're some of the nicest people. Everybody will talk to everybody. Everyone's nice to each other. You don't see that in a lot of things where everyone is just excited to get back together for the next event and go, do it for whatever dealer or whatever people are putting it on, go out and have fun with them. So all the events this year, we just enjoy going to. It's one of the highlights of my job. I mean, it's like a motivating factor because you want to do well with the air guns. But not only that, but, hey, if we keep doing good, we get to keep going to these events and have fun at them. So, just all the way around, we're excited for 2025.
That's so cool. I am excited to see where Skout goes in 2025 as well, because I think it's going to be a hell of a season. Because I think you're right. I think you started to identify it. You've seen this ratcheting up of not only the hardware, but also the skill set to go with it to make it work. Because if you can't read the wind at 100 yards in bench rest, you're done. You're never going to be competitive. But if your gun's not capable of being reliable at that distance, also, you're also not going to be competitive. So I think this tightening of the group at the top is a lot of that kind of chase of the hardware and the people shooting it.
Yeah, it really is. And there's a lot of dedicated people out there doing this right now. I mean, I know the hours I've heard people putting into testing things to just, hey, I'm shooting a card every day leading up to the competition to make sure things are good. And, that's where I think it separates the guys that are just doing all right to the guys who are doing great is when they're really, really dedicated to winning. And, that this year I did a lot more of that practicing and trying to get better and read the wind better and everything, because I knew when you're going to these, it's not a cakewalk to make your way into the finals and be able to compete for it.
Well, I used to live in Pennsylvania. I lived in Mountaintop, Pennsylvania, which is right in the Scranton, Wilkes-Barre area. And I know that winters there can be kind of unkind. So what are you guys doing in the winter for your bench rest practice? Are you toughing it out? Are you out there in the cold, or what's going on there?
We do sometimes, but the majority of our shooting, we have a 100-yard indoor range. So a lot of the time now, like until it's really, a month out or 2 months out from the season, we do a lot of our testing indoors. Bill, the owner, he has a 100-yard range in his backyard. So we usually make him do a lot of the outdoor testing because it's freezing cold and none of us want to. So he does a lot of that for us. But, right now is like the time where we're like, okay, what do we want to accomplish for this upcoming season? Like, what can we change? What can we experiment with to get another little bit better? So a lot of that we can see inside, as long as it, once it's repeatable inside and we're happy with how it's shooting, then we take it outside and then we try different speeds and, different projectiles and different combinations of stuff there and see how it really holds up in the wind.
That's so cool. It's so cool that you guys are pushing the boundaries of research in this and really taking things in a different direction. Because if you work on air guns enough, you see enough of them, the valves are very similar from one make to the next. but yours are not. Yours are in a class all their own, and being able to get around that. A good, well-tuned mechanical trigger is a work of art. I'll never take that away from the guys who made, really nice triggers that were purely mechanical. But being able to just have a micro switch and a very positive feel that you can control and set up yourself, I think that is that's monumental in that next level precision that you guys are seeking.
Yeah, it definitely makes a huge difference, I think, for, especially on a traditional setup, with a bag and a bipod. I mean, you got to really be able to pull a mechanical trigger perfect to not pull shots. And the electronic trigger helps with that. And like I said, the release trigger, a lot of guys are super happy with the way that's working as well for them. So, we're trying to give everyone options, and the adjustability gives them another step towards that to really personalize how it feels for them.
Mm-hmm. That's so cool. Well, Pat, do you have any more questions for our young guest here?
I think we covered so much stuff that's got me excited about electronic guns again, because I was like, and then I had one for a little bit, and I was like, this is a lot of work. And
I want one just so I can hack the voice. That's going to be
that would be cool.
program.
Yeah. I'm not lending you my gun.
Just tell me, Luke, tell me what directory the files are in. I'll find it.
Oh, well, that is the nice thing. So on our website, there's software updater, and you can upload voice. The voice packs are on there, so you'll be able, you can see what the file type is, and you could probably figure that out pretty easily. So
that would be
fantastic. Funny. That's fantastic.
Get it to talk when you shoot the gun. Go, hey, great shot.
Oh yeah. Well, I want it to nag me when the air pressure gets down to 25%. I want it to start nagging me like, hey, idiot, don't forget to recharge your gun before the next event. Because I don't want to end up where Luke was.
Yeah.
I want the gun to tell me, hey, idiot, knock it off. Charge me up.
Hey, that's a good idea. Low battery warning. That would be stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. But I love it when it can insult me more than I would myself. That's always a hallmark of a really good product, when it belittles you on its own, and you don't have to do all that work yourself.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, Luke, I think you guys are on your way to creating a product that is going to be absolutely legendary, not only in competitive air guns, but also with just the casual plinker and the hunter and all of those guys as well. I mean, we've here in this conversation, we've focused a lot on competitive shooting, but there's so much more to the airgun world beyond going to a 100-yard bench rest and being competitive there. And a lot of guys are like, well, I'm never going to do that. I don't need that gun. But it's a really, really nice, well-made gun, not in spite of that, but it is great for other things as well.
Yes.
Even for smashing cans. I mean, it's a heck of a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, it is. We were hanging out with Rick Ream a few weeks ago, and he proved that.
Come on, man.
Yeah, we were shooting cards and shooting, a bunch of his field targets with it at just stupid ranges, and exploding golf balls and everything else. The gun is just a ton of fun all the way around to shoot, even, not in a competition setting. And, the ease of use, once again, is another convenient part of that, because you can go out and just have fun with it and not have to worry about, screwing up your tune or anything like that. You just go and have fun. But, I also want to mention too, as it's Christmas time here, there's still some time. We have a year-end sale going on. So if you are interested in purchasing a Skout Airgun or any Skout products, we have a the whole website right now is on a year-end sale, 10% off of anything on the website. So,
and that's right on the screen right below me right now. And also Skout Airguns are also available at your favorite retailers as well.
Correct.
So who is on that list, Luke? Where can you go for Skout Airguns if you're a regular customer of, say, Utah Airguns or one of those places?
Yeah, so all of the major airgun distributors carry Utah, Tom at High Pressure Pneumatics, Pyramid Air, Ben at the Pellet Shop. There's a lot more. Once again, Daryl will be yelling at me here because I can't remember all of them, but they're pretty much anywhere you can find an air gun.
In your defense, he could have been here. You know, in your defense, Daryl could have been here too. So
that is true. That is true.
If he comes after you, I got your back, buddy.
No,
yeah,
you.
Definitely. Most definitely. Well, Luke, I want to say thank you for taking time of sharing your knowledge, sharing everyone who you are, your dedication at such a young age, your intelligence in all of this, but mostly your passion. Like you said, you don't work a minute throughout the day. And nowadays that's hard with the younger generations, not being too much older here, but it's good to hear that you found a passion that you enjoy. I've personally met you many times. You're great in person as you are through this interview. Bill's also awesome too. So if you hear an event going on, make sure you just show up. You don't have to be shooting an air gun. Come hang out, come shoot the breeze with us, have, refreshments of many times. There's great food at a lot of these things too. So I want to thank you again for that.
Make sure there's coffee around for me.
Well, we always have coffee for you, Bill. And if any of you guys have questions, concerns, comments, don't be afraid to email us here at the Airgun Geeks at airgungeeks@gmail.com. And if you are listening on Apple Podcasts, make sure that you give us 5 stars. Leave a comment. Don't be afraid to do that. We love seeing that. It also helps the algorithm. Other than that, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and also Happy New Year to everyone in the airgun hobby, family. It's going to be an exciting 2025 season and an exciting end of 2024. So with that,
very Merry Christmas from everyone here on the West Coast as well, to all of our Airgun Geek listeners and viewers, and everyone at Skout Airguns. Merry Christmas to everyone there.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to everyone out there as well. And thank you guys for having me on. Really enjoyed geeking it up here.
Excellent.
It's a blast. And ho, 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 stay geeky.